athletics, I think, is a very important aspect of a student's childhood. The importance of athletics, of course, is to build teamwork, sportsmanship, self-discipline, and also character. Hopefully, sports will provide them with a positive and memorable experience. I know my years in high school here, we had some very good memories. A few expectations for our staff. We have high expectations for our staff. Coaches, they will follow all the rules. They will conduct themselves with decorum on the sidelines and on the bench. To teach sportsmanship, I think it's one of the most important things for our teachers and coaches is to be a role model for our students. Student athletes, we will show respect at all times. Now the AHSAA is very strict, guys, and they're even going to tighten it up more this year with your language. Some of the stuff that we saw, the stats from the AHSAA this year, was unbelievable, some of the words coming out of our little children's mouth. So I don't think we have that problem. I know coaches do a good job of trying to, if one of them lets it slip, I know Coach Downs especially, they'll do a lot of wooding, so they try to monitor that. It's going to be an automatic ejection, and they're talking this year, if you get kicked out of the game for cursing, you will also be suspended again. So they're going to clean it up one way or the other. You will show respect for the officials, follow all the rules, and show respect for the officials. Spectators, I know in the heat of the battle, it's hard to sit there and not yell at the officials. There's times myself I get a little too excited on standing down there when I think I see something that the officials doesn't. But I want to encourage you, if you can call better than the officials, and some of you can, because I've heard you. If you can call better than the officials, we are short officials. Put your whistle on, put your striped shirt on, and get out here and call. Because seriously, guys, last year we had to cancel some baseball games or start late because not enough of umpires. And it's getting very difficult. Each year there's about a 10% loss of officials for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. If that trend continues, it's going to be hard to have sports. So consider that while we're watching our athletes. Because it's kind of brutal sometimes too, and they don't get paid a whole lot. And most of them are doing the best they can. So, like I said though, I encourage you, if you are interested in becoming an official, do so, because they need good officials. Athletic eligibility. 7th graders coming into the 6th graders coming into the 7th grade, you're going to be automatically eligible. Your eligibility starts wherever you start the school at, in the 7th grade. So, now the 8th grade and the 9th grade, you have to pass 5 new subjects. 4 of those 5 have to be core subjects. If you fail any core subject, you will not be eligible. You can become eligible if you go to summer school or first semester. You can become eligible after first semester. One thing I want to caution you about, if you fail a class or you fail a core class, and if you are a good athlete and you think you may be going to D1 or D2, there's a thing called NCAA clearinghouse. They will not accept credit recovery classes. So make sure you keep that in mind. And we'll talk a little bit more about NCAA later. Grades 10 through 12, you have to pass 6. 10th and 11th graders. Some of you will co-op, you will dual enroll. Some of you will only be with us 3 or 4 periods of the day. We We ran into this situation last year where we had one student in good standing, dual enrolled, but was not eligible because she didn't have enough credits. Even though, so a lot of times our students will leave after third or fourth period and they don't get those 6 credits. So make sure that when you talk to the counselor, and we always try to catch those. We will pull transcripts, but it's your job also, especially if you're thinking about going to college and play sports, it's going to be your job to make sure you have what you need. Okay? We talked about credit recovery. Attendance eligibility. You have to be at school at least 50% of the day. Now, there are extenuating circumstances. If you're at a funeral, if you have a ball game that day, and unfortunately you have to be at a funeral, or you have a medical excuse, then there's extenuating circumstances. Just let us know, let your coach know, talk to me, and we can discuss it. So make sure you get prior approval if you're not going to be at school, because you will not be eligible to play that evening. Conduct eligibility. The drug test information, each student that drives or plays any extracurricular is subject to a random drug test. So that form is one of the forms that is in the handbook and that you will have to sign. If you have any questions about the drug testing procedures, it's independent. We don't give out the names. We send a list. The way the drug testing policy works, we send a list of all drivers, athletes, extracurricular to our central office, in which they send it to the drug testing company in Guntersville. Once they receive it, then they will send us names, or when they come, they will bring a list of names, usually about 25 to 35 kids. And they will hand us the list. We will call them to the office. Sometimes we will do it as a group, sometimes we'll do it as 2 or 3. So that's the way we do our drug test. And then I step out of my office. The drug testing company, which is independent of our system, they will ask your student a series of questions, and then they will go into my restroom alone, and then produce a specimen for the lady. She will then secure it while your student is standing there. Then they will take it back to the lab. Typically, we will have the results back that same day. Sometimes it's a day later. If it is positive, then they will send it for confirmation. Sometimes our confirmation takes 2 or 3 days. So I do not call parents for the drug test because you've already signed that it's okay. Your student will tell you if they were or not most of the time. If they are positive, I will not call you until I get confirmation. Okay? So it may be a week or 2 after they take the test. If it comes back positive, then I will call you. But I got burned one time because we sent it, I called the parent when it came back that day as positive, and then when we sent it for confirmation, it came back negative. So I don't do it until we get confirmation. The confirmation is also sent to a different lab. You're representing our school. You're representing your parents. So guys, while you're out here, or you're an athlete wearing our uniform, you will conduct yourself appropriately. Now, biggest thing that our kids get into trouble with, of course, I think is social media. It is the devil. Social media is the devil. I think personally it's going to be the downfall of our society, but I'm not going to get on that soapbox. It's there's a lot of stuff out there for our kids to get into on social media. There's predators searching the internet daily for your child. Students, be careful what you put on social media. Now, we're not going to go on hearsay or rumor, but guys, if you're silly enough and bold enough to be drinking beer and holding it up while you're drinking and taking Snapchats of it and Instagram, somebody will turn you in. I promise you they will. And that's video evidence right there. That will be dealt with. Okay? Don't do it. If you're in alternative school or ISS, you will be ineligible until you finish. So if you get 3 days, at the end of that 3rd day, then you can practice or participate. Okay? Now, in addition to those rules, and please go online. If you notice, we did not have copies of our handbook. That's because it costs about $1,200 to print our handbooks. We printed them all last year. We will post them online, and you can view them online. If you have any questions, please do so, or call the office. Now, each coach may also have rules in addition to the ones that I just talked about. So, if they do, the coach will go over those rules with his team, and hopefully with you guys, if he has a team meeting, he or she has a team meeting to go over those specific rules. In addition to DAR conduct rules, AHSAA has conduct rules, which hit you in the pocket. First ejection, if you get ejected, for instance in football or football, if you caught cursing, you will get ejected. Basketball, 2 technicals, you're ejected. Or anything flagrant, you're ejected. That's $300. That's the same thing for my coaches. My coaches, if they get 2 technicals, they're ejected. It's $300. The school does not pay that fine. If my coach gets ejected, he pays, she pays the fine. If my players get ejected, they pay the fine within 30 days. We have to pay within 10 days to the state. So they will send it, and then we'll send it, and you will reimburse us. And they will be ineligible until you do. So first ejection, $300 fine. One time only, you can reduce that to $100 if you do an online course. Second ejection, you get 1 game suspension and $500 fine. Third ejection, and I don't think we've ever gotten to a 3rd ejection, and we probably won't get to a 3rd ejection, because about the 2nd one, writing's on the wall. 3rd ejection, minimum, is a $750 fine, and you're suspended for the remainder of the year. So, and if it's at the end of the year, they will fine the school. Any questions on ejections? I don't think we had any last year, maybe 1 or 2, but we went for about 5 years in a row. We had no fines, no ejections, and it's last couple of years we've had a little hiccups from here and there. So we had 1 or 2. Outside participation rule. Some of the rules that the AHSAA has, when you get to the high school, it can determine if we get put on probation or your child becomes ineligible. Because if they participate when they're not supposed to, or they violate rules, the student themselves can become ineligible, in addition to us being fined. A couple of things that I want to go over as far as the outside participation rule. A student who is an athlete in grades 7 through 12 may not participate on a non-school team in the same sport during the school season of that sport. In other words, if they're playing for for us, basketball, baseball, they can't go, during our season, they can't go play on another team, travel ball team or anything like that during the season, okay? That's against the rules, and if they do, then they violate that and they're ineligible. 50% rule. 50% rule states that you can't take your whole team outside the season and play or practice on another, say a travel ball team. If you do, that's a violation of the 50% rule. The most you can have on one team is for basketball 3 and baseball is 5. So if you have any questions on that outside participation rule or the 50% rule, please let us know. That's a biggie if we get if someone turns us in, if you're doing that. Doctor's visits. If you get hurt playing a sport, then the medical expenses are responsibility of the athlete or the family of the athlete. Okay? So that's why we make sure that they have insurance before we let them participate. Changing or quitting the sport. This is something that we don't really have a whole lot of problems with, but if say a basketball player starts the season and gets mad at Coach Daniels for some reason, I can't really understand why they would even get mad at Coach Daniels. But if they do, they decide to quit, they can't go straight into baseball because they like Coach Hicks, okay? Until basketball season is over. Once that sport is over, then they can participate in the next sport. Now, sharing. That means that the coaches can get together and they can share athletes. I know we have to do this with baseball and track especially. So the coaches usually work together really well for that. Participation requirements. You're going to get a packet. We've already got physicals on most of the kids. Physicals are good for 1 year. You will get a packet to sign, about 8 pieces of paper. So make sure you do that, get that back into us, because they're not eligible until that happens. This year we're still going to do the paper folders like we have been doing in the past. Each year the AHSAA comes in and audits our records. If we don't have everything that we're supposed to have on students, we get fined. We've never been fined for that. Thank goodness Coach Lori Jones and my coaches do a great job with that. She helps me out with that paperwork, and she does a great job with it. And we've never been fined for that. So they have to have a birth certificate, star sportsmanship, physical, of course, concussion course, student release form, the insurance form, consent form, and the acknowledgement form that we have for ours. Beginning next year, and we may tinker with it this year a little bit, we're going to start a program called Dragonfly. Dragonfly is going to be an online document program that the state is going to mandate next year. So we may experiment with it this year, trying to upload some documents and get you guys to go online and fill those out. But next year it will be mandatory. We will have a choice. Communication is very important, and I stress to my coaches about communicating with parents and with their players. I stress to them, be honest with the players. Let them know where they stand. Let them know what they need to work on. So communication is important. Communication to parents. I think our coaches do a pretty good job using Remind. I encourage them to use the Remind program to send out all the information pertaining to their practices, games, and any information they need to get out to the parents. If that's not happening, let me know, because I think it is important for parents to know what's going on. Team fees, they should let you know kind of what they expect to purchase with those team fees, or if you have a question what your money's going to. Because guys, it's very expensive to run an athletic program. All of our activities are kind of self-made. I wish we had enough money to spread around to cover everybody, but between officials for basketball is over $5,000. And most of the time for basketball, it's between $6,000 and $7,000 a year, just for the officials. And sometimes we get our money's worth, and sometimes we don't. But we still have to pay it. Everything we get off our gates usually goes to pay the officials. And we travel. We have to pay for our buses. Each sport does. And that's another expense we have to endure. In addition to any camp fees or anything like that. And you guys know it's very costly. The kids do a pretty good job of trying to raise the money, and it's very expensive. But that's where these local businesses, they take a hit almost for everything too. So please support our local businesses, because that's where the money stays. It stays here when you spend local. So please support them. I know without them, I don't know what we would do, because they're always, every business is always willing to help, and they do go above and beyond most of the time. I know they do. Parents' communication to coaches. There's only one thing I want to ask you, parents, and I do it every year for those that, and for the most part, everybody does what we ask. If there's an issue or problem, especially after a game, please don't try to talk to the coach after the game. There's nothing good going to come of it. Especially if it's a loss, or you're upset, the coach is upset, the player's upset. It's just not a good idea to try to approach and talk to the coach at that time. So we have a 24-hour rule. If in 24 hours you're still upset, you still want to talk to him, then either reach out to him or her and try to set a meeting up. And if that doesn't work, then you can call me and set a meeting up, okay, in my office. If you're still upset, mad, please go through a meeting, and we'll have a meeting in the office, okay? And that's happened. But there's nothing good going to come of upsetting people after a heated battle in the ball game. Okay? Any questions on that? Again, let me go back to the social media, because that is something, guys, that is just, it's changing daily. And I know their cell phone policy this year is going to change. Last year, we pretty much just let our kids use their cell phones whenever. This year's not going to happen. You're not going to use your cell phones at school. And no matter if it's lunch, break, whatever. So it's going to change. And we're going to follow the handbook. So they will be taken up if you're caught with it. So leave it in your locker. Leave it in your car. If your parents need to get a hold of you, do it the old-fashioned way. Call the office. We will get a message to them. But so that we're going to change our cell phone policy this year. Again, social media. And I keep harping on it, but guys, I'm telling you, it's bad. It's really bad. It can be used for good things, but from our standpoint, what I've seen over the past 2 or 3 years, it's getting kids in trouble. I know you got a lot of baseball fans in here. What's happening with some of the major leaguers right now? Pitcher for Atlanta Braves, something he did when he was 16 years old. He's getting hammered for it. Probably going to lose some money, maybe get traded. I mean, it's the football player, it cost him about $2 million that something he tweeted or when he was 15 or 16, and it dropped him in the draft because he tweeted something racial. It dropped him in the draft for like 1 or 2 down to about 12 or 13. It cost him about $2 million. So people are looking. We went today to an industry tour. The biggest thing they talked about was attendance and cell phones. People get fired. I've noticed some people not to get jobs because of what they had on their social media. So, cell phones is a big issue right now, and attendance is. So, any questions pertaining to anything with athletics? Mr. Iswell, you have anything? Coaches? I think Coach Poole and you and Coach Hicks want to talk about anything? I think they did, they just don't want to. Guys, we need all athletes playing multiple sports. Our good athletes, we need numbers, okay? And when it gets into sometimes specializing, that hurts all sports. Since I broached the subject, now they're going to step forward. Coach Hicks, if you don't know, he's our baseball coach and Coach Poole, football coach.
I just want to reiterate what Mr. Anthony said. It's very important for us, and Coach Downs and Coach Hicks and myself, we talk about athletes all the time. We realize that there's probably about 3 or 4 athletes that in each sport that would really be helping those other sports that do not play. It's kind of, in my opinion, it's almost a responsibility of you to stick up for your school and help out the different sports. And I understand that every sport's not for everybody, but we believe that you ought to help out your other teams as you can. The other thing we do is we all run our weight program together. So therefore, they're going to be doing basically the same lifts and the same workout always anyway. So that's something we talk about constantly in here. And I'm Mr. Evans already said that I would appreciate getting your guys there. I try to tell the guys they only have this short time to come out and play sports when they're in high school to make the most of their time here. And I know Coach wants to talk about some things, but I'll let him know.
All right, Coach, thank you. Just want to touch base really with the middle school parents. I know there's been a lot of lack of communication or hard to get a hold of, especially for the middle school people that don't drive. I mean, most of the older guys are able to get up here and come and go and make practices earlier and later. It's kind of difficult for these 7th and 8th graders, for parents working and that kind of stuff. Just want to make sure everybody understands what's going on next week. Monday is the first official day of football practice. We're going to practice Monday and Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Wednesday will be right after school, Thursday after school, and Friday after school. Every day from this point on. Okay, after starting Monday. The Jamboree for middle school will be at DAR. I just sent a reminder out earlier before they started with the play dates. The times on it. DAR will start the Jamboree. We'll start at 5 o'clock versus Asbury. We'll play the first game and we'll play the last game. We have 6 teams coming in that night. So I know we're going to need some help. I guess I'm speaking out of turn here, but I know the booster club's going to need some help, maybe concession stand wise, learning all that kind of stuff for you football parents. So I'm sure that Coach Poole will have something sent out here soon about that. Well, let's make sure we get that word out for middle school. Anybody that still wants to come out and play middle school football, we'd love to have you. Our numbers are not where we need to be. We'd love to get 4, 5, 6 more players out if we can get them. We'll take them all the way till, what do we say, Coach, next Monday. So school starts on Wednesday. They come out Wednesday afternoon. They can't get here Monday or Tuesday. All you got to have is a physical, and we'll make sure the rest of them work. And again, baseball-wise too, I'm the baseball coach. When that rolls around in spring, we always need players to come out and fill out teams for junior high, JV, and varsity for baseball as well. Coach Downs?
He had a long day, he drove the bus today for us. One thing I will, before I turn you guys loose, and then we'll we'll talk about high school stuff. I'm going to brag a little bit on our students and our staff. I know if you read the Gunner for Gleam, you saw where we were ranked in the top 40 of the best high schools in Alabama, so I was excited to see that. We were number 37. We were the only county school. There was only 3 schools in the whole Marshall County that was in that. Not a whole lot in North Alabama, to be honest with you, that was in that top 40. So excited about that, and that's a tribute to you guys as parents, and also our students and our staff. So it's based on test scores and what we do on test scores and our college and career readiness. And so middle schoolers that are here, be thinking, because it's going to not be long before you guys are sitting in these high school seats, be thinking about what you may be wanting to do, which track you want to be on. And I know Mr. Isbell's going to talk more with you about that this year as the year develops. But again, I want to thank you for sharing your students with us. Look forward to another year. I hope everybody has had a great summer, and look forward to getting back in the swing of it. The packets we will be sending home, and we already have the physicals, so that they're good there. But we will send the rest of the paperwork home for you guys to sign over the next few days. At this time, there's no questions. Middle school, you can depart. High school, we will talk just a few more minutes about high school stuff, and then we'll turn you guys loose.